So in the next few minutes, what we'll do is we'll give you some highlights about the up and coming conference, beekeeping conference, Northern Lights Beekeeping Conference up in Calgary. So I'll start off, and what I'll do is really try to explain why you should go and what the value of attending a conference is. So just in a nutshell, a few years back, I had an opportunity to go to my first beekeeping conference. So the biggest thing you get out of it is actually the networking opportunities. It's interacting, it's sharing ideas with other beekeepers, with some of the speakers. For this conference, I'll briefly go through the website, show you how it's set up, so you can get all the info you need on the conference. But having access to some great beekeepers, some scientists, their talks, and then we've set up the conference so there's plenty of breaks between the talks, so you'll be able to pull people aside, have conversations, basically ask really difficult questions to each other, to the speakers, and we'll do our best, because as we know, beekeeping is a learning process. If you think you know it all, there's a lot to learn. But so what I'll do is we put together a website, so you can reach it at the Western Agricultural Society.org website, and you'll see that there's a tab here for the conference. So if you scroll through, so this black button here is how you register. So it'll take you to a registration portal, and you'll get a menu of the different options from the talks. So 2 days of talks. We've got a day of workshops on September 29th, which is a Friday, is our workshop day. And I'll go through briefly what the schedule looks like. And then on September 30th and October 1st is our talks, or bee talks. If you've got a bit of extra money to spare and you like supporting these causes and these events, there's a button here to become a sponsor. So you can sponsor speakers, you can become a vendor at the site. So a lot of different opportunities there. One thing to note, you'll notice two main logos here. So we've partnered with CDBA, which is Calgary and District Beekeepers Association. So to be successful, you do need some local connections. So the Calgary beekeeping group is quite large, and they make up a big portion of our volunteer base. So it really helps organize a conference. For myself, I live up in the Yukon, probably a four-hour flight away from Calgary. So it's kind of hard doing remote planning, and that's why we've got Ron as our chair, helping us organize and get things going. But I'll just briefly go. So as we go through, so we've got a speaker list and our sponsors. So I'll start with our sponsors. We've gotten really lucky. So we've got some really good sponsors that should help us fill the trade show. So we've got a couple of local Alberta equipment suppliers. We've got a group out of Montreal, Propolis, etc. So we will have vendors on site. You can actually reach out to them if there's things you want to purchase, and you can probably arrange some pickups while you're at the conference. So all these different groups are helping us make the conference possible. Some of them are sponsoring our speakers to help cover travel, hotel costs, and a few different miscellaneous costs. From a speakers list, we'll start with that. So we've got a lot of good speakers, and we've got a mix of, like I said, practical beekeepers and scientists who are beekeepers, who've done a lot of research and text transfer and extension type work. So one of our key fellows here, so Dr. Medhat Nassar, so out of Saskatchewan. So he's a staple in the prairies, and he's got a lot of experience. And if you've never met him, great person to talk to. So I won't go through everybody, but you can go through, and Cayman Reynolds will be here. We've got Dr. Andoni Melathopoulos. So I've been practicing pronouncing really long names. So he'll be facilitating a discussion on urban beekeeping. We're also presenting on beekeeping landscapes and things we can do. Cayman will have a couple of practical, one beginner, one advanced bee talk, as well as some workshops. We've got Dr. Nuria Morfin out of BC. So she's the tech transfer lead there, and she'll be doing some nice conversations and presentations on that. Jeff Wilson is the provincial apiarist from Saskatchewan. So we are in Canada. We do have winters. So he specializes in wintering singles up in northern Saskatchewan. So he'll go through his systems, how he sets up his hives and all that type of stuff. So we will have a grouping of talks just focused on wintering and getting our colonies through winter. We've got Dr. Juliana Rangel. So she'll be doing things around pollinator landscapes, but also her specialty is queens. We've got Olav Ruppel, who will be covering his research. He's at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. So he's got a lot of good stuff that he's researching with his teams, and he'll give us an update and some of the up and coming, hopefully, solutions to some of our problems. A new one that just joined is Kevin England out of New Jersey. So another very practical beekeeper. So for his workshop, he'll be doing something on tinctures, propolis tinctures. So if you don't know, he's got a really good podcast, and he does a lot of practical type presentations, but also he covers how to make mead, tinctures, things as a beekeeper, hobbyist level beekeeper, things that you can do for yourself or for markets to add value to your products. We've got Dr. Scott Debman. So he's heavily involved in the Montana beekeeping program. So he'll be talking about humidity, along with Dr. Bromenshank. They'll be covering the training program for commercial beekeepers and for war vets in the US. So that should be very interesting. And then we've got some of our directors and board members, including myself, Dr. Karen, Julia, Ron, Carrie, and Kathy from Wyoming. So we'll do an assortment of different talks and workshops during the session. And just to polish things off, so you'll see there's a draft schedule here, which is the same as this one. So for the workshops, this is an evolving product. So we'll have 3 streams. If the weather cooperates, we will have some hives outside with an electric fence. For those who I guess are fairly close, but within driving distance, we've been okay to use the overflow parking and an area for RVs and campers. So if you do want to save costs on your expenses, so there will be a place to camp. There are no services, so you have to be self-contained, but there'll be plenty of space for you to park your vehicle. And so this is an example. We'll have 2 inside streams, an outside stream, and probably some areas where if you have questions, the equipment will be there and you can just go and talk around the equipment. So the point of the workshops is practical, a bit more hands-on, stand up. It's less presentation. It's more about discussing and having one-on-ones, small group discussions around specific topics. And then for the bee talks, and then I'll hand it over to Ron. We've got an assortment of talks over the 2 days. So basically focused on urban beekeeping, pollinator habitats, typical hive management, and then bee health. And I've color coded the schedule so that you can get a good idea of what is what. We'll also have a honey show. We've got a trade show. And during the lunch breaks, there'll be some opportunities for a few focus groups that some people have asked us to help organize. So if you do pollination, blueberry pollination, so there will be an opportunity to have a discussion there. So for those who don't know, beekeepers who keep bees on blueberries do have issues at the end of the season in most places. So there is a working group on that, and they're looking for some feedback and some input from beekeepers who actually rent their colonies out to blueberries. And you'll notice we've got nice 30-minute breaks between most of the talks. And this allows you to go to the trade show, have a coffee, and chit chat with other beekeepers. In the fee, just so you know, lunch and the coffee breaks is included, so you will be fed. And then to finish things off, I guess after the first day, we will have a banquet. And that's a set meal, and the menu will come out soon. There'll probably be a few different choices to pick from. And then on the final day, we'll have a roundtable with some of the key speakers, and it'll be an open Q&A. And you'll notice there's 3 roundtables mixed into the talks here, and those is to allow you to ask specific questions to the panelists. So that is what I was planning to talk about. And as you go down, there's more information, and as more information becomes available, we'll post. I'll let Ron talk about Calgary and the venue, and then I'll pass the rein on to him now.